know, bro. For some reason, Beyonce don't hit like that to me no more. Like,
that's what I think it is.
Yeah.
What is I think? Is it because of the content, or is it like you like the music? Because
I think before the music was hitting with the visuals, then it was like, damn. Now I feel like the visuals are still there, but the music, to me, I'm like, am I gonna replay this album? Like, no, I'm not gonna replay this album. Like, but visually looking at it, I'm like, oh,
visually it looks amazing.
Yeah, it looks dope.
Like it's almost like we got money. We got go grab your DP. And say,
that's what I'm saying. There's probably some DP that just was like every shot you ever wanted to do, you can do on this project. And you're like, bet.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another episode of the Three Fly Gents. I'm your humble and gracious host, Bill Hudson, with my right-hand man,
Polo Man, AJ Francois.
And we got on the line here our other man,
Travis, the broke entrepreneur.
Hey, what's going on, fellas? Another week?
Hey, another week.
Yeah, how y'all doing?
Shit, I'm good. How you doing, Travis? Out there traveling the streets?
Good.
Right.
Oh, yeah. I'm
hit
good,
through the
bro.
streets, yo. You done hit through the streets,
taking my vitamins, and staying out the way.
Oh, yeah. Where you at now?
I'm back in NY. I just left, Baltimore. Then I came up here today, do some shopping, and tomorrow I'm back in LA. And then the next week after that, I think I'm in, I think Cancun.
Oh, word.
Shit.
Yeah.
International B. Yeah, you definitely got to let us know how that's up.
Let us know Cancun is.
But I seen somebody was in Cabo, and I was just like, man, that looks very peaceful.
Just saying, my birthday is on the horizon. And I'm like, I can go to Cancun for the...
Yeah, we need to narrow that down.
They letting us in.
They letting us in? Because I know Mexico was trying to be like, nah, y'all ain't want to let us in.
What's the rule? Like, they have, like, you got to have a test or something? Or they just like, good?
I got to look into it more, but I watched a video on YouTube about it, and they didn't say anything about any testing. It was like it was a free access. So I'm not 100% sure how official that is. So I'm not. You feel me? I think I'm gonna have to call
the embassy.
I'm gonna say just look at the State Department.
The embassy.
Check the State Department. They got a list, and it's like a whole COVID travel advisory on which states or whatever. So if they have it, they and they like, yo, ain't no, we got to quarantine you. Because I heard, like, New York, did they tell you got quarantine? Or they like, because you coming from another state that's not a hot spot, well, you don't have to.
Okay. So with New York, the thing is that they only care about the people. Well, okay, say you flying into New York.
Yeah.
I think it's the people that flying into New York. But then I heard something different because my homie told me that people free from PR, and I got an annoying ass person around me, but he free from PR, and he didn't have no trouble coming into New York, like no paper. But I think what it is you are, say you from New York and you go somewhere and you come back, they give you a paper. Because I got a paper when I went to Florida from New York, like 2 years ago. But Florida told me that there's no point in me keeping the paper because they was like, we don't check for that. We don't have nothing to do with that. That's on New York. So I'm thinking they brought.
So if you leave from New York and you come back, they kind of treat it like customs. Like when you they make you fill that thing out.
Where you been, what you been doing, or whatever.
And what you like if you bought anything, if you claiming anything, it's kind of like one of those situations.
Right.
Oh, all right. Well. Keep us posted, bro. Like
you know about that Cancun shit. I'm
like they try to, look for other places to relax at. Yeah, I mean.
You said other places to relax at. I mean,
I was like, I want to know about the Cancun shit. So let me know when you get back from that. I'm curious.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, like, I gotta still look some more into it, but hopefully, I'm able to get in. But if not, I ain't tripping, man. Like, I'll just, do another trip somewhere, like, local. I don't know. Local, you know what I mean? I'm not pressed. Like, if they don't let me in, I won't be upset. I'll be like, all right.
Right.
I'll just go somewhere.
So I'll go where I wanted at, B.
Yeah, where I wanted at.
All right. Well, we want to definitely this week. Last week we did the Ujima homecoming, so we want to shout out to them for having us. We did this podcast 101. Humbled and honored to be able to just give our story, how we started this thing, and was able to get it to where it's at. So thank you, Jima, Dominique, and the whole squad who had us that week. It was a great week. You know what I mean?
It was dope. Service. It went well. That was huge. Yeah, so shout out to Dom, Ujima, everybody. Appreciate them tuning in.
And we'll try to get the feed up soon or whatever, so everybody can catch that. So a lot of stuff happening, a lot of news. Let's get to it. Ellen, Ellen, she caught some heat about the workplace environment.
It's getting hot over there.
I don't know if y'all heard. It was like a BuzzFeed article where it was just like all these things going down in the sense that it was employees who said they tried to take off. They went on like maternity leave, got fired. It was a lot of racial tension kind of deal, hostile work environment. So she's under investigation under Warner Brothers and Telepictures. They run the whole show, whatever. So it's not looking good.
Yeah, I was reading an article saying like basically one of the old producers she just don't know how to read the room. The situation, so it could just be like I can imagine if it's like whether it's a work related or racial, and she just doesn't she can't pick up and be like, "Yo, this is not time to be doing this shit," So, block is hot over there, Ellen's world.
I mean, it was reported some people was because she loved animals so much, if you was how everybody lunch, what we having for lunch? If you was yo, I'm having ribs or whatever, you might not get invited to lunch again. So I was that kind of sucks. But they say they try. She's her defense is kind of she's disconnected from a lot of the day to day. She's yeah, my name on the thing, but I got people for that or whatever. So they were saying it's really the producers on behalf of Ella. But usually when you're the captain of the ship, you take the heat. The ship ain't run right.
It's the reason you're getting paid that kind of money,
Was that derelict of duty kind of thing? You gotta make sure. So we'll keep an eye on that as those develops. But it sounds somebody about to get fired.
Yeah, somebody head's gonna roll.
Yeah, you gotta have a scapegoat.
Yeah, somebody gonna jump on the sword and be like, "Yo, it was me." Ellen gonna just probably write a check.
But they say you can't dance your way out this one. Nah, you gotta
right.
you gonna have to deal with that. Because I remember earlier in the year they was saying something the people didn't know if they still had a job when the quarantine COVID happened.
Yeah,
they was they didn't reach out to them. So it was can you imagine they was hey guys, don't come in. We trying to figure out what's going on. We'll keep you posted. And in 2 weeks. So, you get paid every Friday.
Yeah.
And you just I ain't hear nothing or whatever. So they say that was the first thing. But she was yo, it's kind of misrepresented what really happened. And I was just at the end of the day, you got to communicate with people. If you've been on for that long, 15 seasons, 15 years with a crew, you kind of hey. Even if you keep saying I'm checking in on follow-up.
Heads up. People just to know you checking in.
Because you're yo, do I need to go get another job? Do I'm about to have to start slinging?
Right.
Turn a trick? What's happening? I need to know.
Maybe just radio silence. You just
They said, we don't know anything. We'll keep you posted. It's yo, So hopefully, it's going to be resolved shortly, but we'll keep an eye on it.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to believe about Ellen, right? We thought that she was, but I heard a lot of misinformation even about her show. I remember, do you remember that time Tiffany Haddish was on the show and she won the car or something like that? She gave her a car.
Yeah. And she was I'll let you borrow it and shit instead of won it.
Yeah,
it looked like she gave
It looked like she gave her a car, but she did. So it was a couple of miscellaneous things I had. I think we've been here for a while.
Yeah, well, those type of shows, people misrepresent because somebody that's giving away shit, it's it gives the illusion hey, you're giving away prizes,
kindness in my heart.
The kindness, the brand is strong. If you just giving away the 12 days of Ellen is the hardest tickets to get.
Right.
If anybody ever tried to visit LA and was I want to go on Ellen, and you try to get tickets,
good luck.
you're not getting tickets to 12 because we talking like your family and friends can't even get tickets. Like, you know, people who work on the show, and it's like, yo, you gotta be like handicapped, you know, like have a heart. Like, your story gotta be really good to get those. So
you got cancer, you got to die in 10 days. You got to like literally be on that level.
Right.
Like, yeah.
So you got the image and the brand of just a generous person of the world. But then a lot of that stuff obviously is sponsorships. It's kind of like the Make-A-Wish Foundation type shit. But it's like, it seems like it's a great gesture and it's a great idea, but it's a lot of behind the scenes politics and business that makes those things happen.
Right.
Like niggas be strong arming tickets to Disney World. Like, are you gonna really let these kids down? You know, you want to be that? Like,
is that what you want to do?
So for her, like, I can understand, like, yo, it is a day-to-day business and the things that get it. But I also think if you've been in power so long and unchecked, meaning like anybody who have the attitude like, yo, you should be grateful to be here, is usually it's only a matter of time for somebody to check you. You know what I mean? Like, the pleasure is all yours.
Yeah.
Like, even if it is a privilege to work at the highest place or the highest honor, you still should treat people like, you know, with the respect.
People like to be treated like people, you know.
Exactly. You know, like, granted, like, in fact, people is what make the show.
Yeah.
Essentially, right?
That's what people forget sometimes. They get bigger and bigger and they forget, like, yo,
one typo on your cue cards, somebody, you know, don't cut the camera right, somebody don't do, you know, that's a lot of moving parts when you're making a show. So it's from her perspective, she was like, look, I dropped the ball in managing, you know, the day-to-day because I trust the people to run it for me. And she's like, from now on, I'm going to try to keep an eye out for it. And like I said, whoever that producer dude who was running it, I don't know, typically how Hollywood goes. It's like, yeah, he might bounce back. He might just be like, look, I was doing my job. Because, you know, a lot of heat came out from the show. Remember Steve Harvey?
Oh,
when
yeah.
He got his show?
Some heat too, yeah.
And they was just like, yo, they sent the
Bro,
memo.
how did that
like,
even get out there?
About them saying, like, yo, don't talk to me or whatever. Don't be outside my dressing room.
Who put that out there?
I don't know if somebody working on the show. It was like somebody working on the show. That
I got a check and was like, yo.
It was like, yo, because usually you sign like NDAs anyway when you work for a show. Like, so you can't tell what guest is coming on early. They make you sign it so you don't be like trying to reveal, because they usually tape earlier, a week earlier or something like that, so you don't talk about it. Well, so I think somebody just was like, nah, y'all got to know how wild it is working here.
Right.
Whistleblowers, as they call them. But we'll see. We'll see how that shakes out. Like I said, more likely somebody's basically going to get fired. It won't be Ellen.
No. Ellen's fine.
But it won't be somebody. Other news, y'all hear The Black is King? Did y'all check that out?
I did over the weekend.
Who, Beyonce?
Beyonce. Yeah. You see that?
I'm good.
You said I'm good. Hey, I feel like I'm caught in like that boat where it's like, I think when she did the first visual album, I was like, oh damn, this shit fire. It's never been seen before.
Right.
And now I'm kind of just like, okay. Like, I'm like, you know, I like people still go crazy for it, but I think I'm kind of just like, okay.
Do you think more is it just as a fan or just the content or which level?
I think it's like the content to me doesn't match it. Like it doesn't. What were you about to say, Travis?
No, you actually took the words out. I mean, I just felt like it was like, I don't know, bro. For some reason, Beyonce don't hit like that to me no more. Like,
that's what I think it is.
Yeah.
What is it? Is it because of the content, or is it like you like the music? Because
I think before the music was hitting with the visuals, then it was like, damn. Now I feel like the visuals are still there, but the music to me, I'm like, am I gonna replay this album? Like, no, I'm not gonna replay this album. Like, but visually looking at it, I'm like, oh,
visually it looks amazing.
Yeah, it looks dope.
Like it's almost like we got money. We got to go grab your DP. And say,
that's what I'm saying. There's probably some DP that just was like, every shot you ever wanted to do, you can do on this project. And he like, bet. Like, okay, cool. The dancers, they get to just like make money, just contemporary dancing shit that you usually see in like the real like high class art studios in New York. They get to dance and shit. So it was dope, like from that standpoint. But I just feel like the music, I'm like, for me, it doesn't.
It's not something you bumping down.
It's not something I'm bumping. So it's like, for me, it's like I can watch it once and I can be like,
appreciate it. You can appreciate what it is, but not be like, you know, this ain't for me.
Right. You get that point where, you know, like you just not gonna get by, but you know, our work ethic is always gonna be on the
right.
Our work ethic is always gonna be on a million. You know that.
Yeah.
So she worked real hard. You know, I can't never take that away from her.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah,
it's gonna
always.
look great, and it's gonna perform.
It's time for it's time for that. It's time for the torch to be passed, bro.
Yeah.
I wonder, is it because it dated? Because it's a year later? Like, because it seemed like it was like for the Lion King, right? Because I kept hearing the Lion King voiceover like all throughout the movie. So I felt like, is it made because it's dated? Like, I feel like it's associated with the Lion King.
I felt like her last album was like that though.
But that was The Gift. That was actually the soundtrack. So that album was the Lion King. You know, like The Gift to Africa.
I think if it slapped though, it's still like there's movie soundtracks you could play Kendrick Lamar's Black Panther soundtrack today.
Yeah,
that's it. Still slaps. Like, so I feel like if it slapped, like I don't think a year would matter. That even though it was associated with the movie, I think it was just like, oh, it's cool. You know,
I see it as like when I first seen, like, obviously when I saw it, I was like, looks amazing. Like any shot you could grab, any screen grab, it's like a wallpaper, a poster of just Black excellence. Like, you just like, oh, this looks dope. Like, if you felt you ain't know about the motherland and your culture, boom, this is the watch for you. Granted, music replay value, yeah, like I'm not that style of music I don't listen to often. But at the same time I can appreciate it because I just like, I know there's an audience that loves it, so the audience for that. And then I'll also look at, then I was like, the timing of it, right? So you know how she, remember like when it was like the reporter, the deal she had with Disney, and everybody went on and that was like, oh, she trying to play Storm.
Everybody
and went crazy.
Fuck this shit.
This was the deal about like getting it released on Disney Plus, like finalizing the numbers, the deal to get it on Disney Plus. And then I was like, so say this is the throwaway from, you working on a soundtrack for Lion King, and the next thing you know, you like, I got so many tracks that like I can make a soundtrack album for that, and then a year later I can release another visual album for it, where it's just unapologetically just Black and just highlighting African culture.
Right.
We like, cool, like release it, get double the pay. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, I ain't no game. I was I respect the game. I was like, hey, I respect it. And she got a built-in fan. I mean, Beehive is strong. Yeah. So it's like, she got that too. So it's like, I'm not tripping on it. It's just for me, I'm kind of at that point.
And it was like a highlight too of just more African artists. Right. So that's why I was like, so for the American audience, like if you're a Beehive fan, you going, like, obviously, again, even if you're not, you're going like, it looks great. Sounds great. Moves, dance moves all day.
Right.
Yo, you're not even questioning that. But then you just realize, like, okay, you know who it's for.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you can appreciate it. Like, recognize this.
Right.
You know, this.
Yeah, I mean, for me, bro, like I said, I barely, but I thought Clip, I'm just like, I'm good, bro. It's just not, that's just not my lane no more, bro. I just feel like I'm more attuned to Rihanna.
Yeah.
That let me just get by. Like you know, like even like I said, she jumped on Megan Thee Stallion. Yeah. I think that was for to keep her relevant. But I just didn't understand. You talking about a rap song and you on that? I'm a classy bougie. Like I just like didn't get it. Like I'm like, it was like, oh man, like yo, like you know, and I get it. Go to Beehive, you know, even with that song. Like, it was like, come on, dog. Come on. You didn't tell me for she didn't miss that, bro. And you gotta think you had a straight, no bad song done. Like, come on, man. Like, don't do that, bro. Like, you know what I mean? I'm just saying. I'm just saying, bro. Like, I'm not saying I don't love B. And I love Beyonce. Like, I definitely grew up on all that. Like, you know, I'd have been to a beach show before. Like, I'm not saying.
Yeah, we've been on a couple on a rap tour. So yeah.
Yeah. I'm not, but I'm not going to sit up here and like. It just wasn't interesting to me. It just was not interesting to me. You know what I mean? But that's just me. You know what I mean? Like, I just, if you gonna ask me my plans in my car, no.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was interesting. It was just like you said, like just the replay. I was like, I think I might put it on in the morning. Like if I was like getting ready, and I just need to feel my African ancestors. Because the other aspect I look at it, in a sense, is like, yo, she can be unapologetically Black. Like after the Lemonade album, I think that's probably the most like pro-Black I've seen Beyonce. Like, in her career, right? Where it's just like, yo, you ain't worried about no label. You ain't worried about how it looked. Because you know she took a lot of heat anyway.
Right.
So then I was just like, now that you don't care, it's like, yo, not only you did the homecoming thing, and you like, I'm doing a tribute to the African motherland. It's kind of like how, like, Jordana, you know, he's like leading a campaign to just get everybody back to Africa. He's like 85 to Africa. So I feel like it's kind of like one of those things. And, you know.
Yeah, it might be. Because I mean, like, like Lemonade slap, that homecoming shit. She, like, I feel like she still can slap. Like, but it's like, it's more.
Yeah, if you just, that's your genre. If you're just not into that kind of genre of music, then it just won't be.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, shout out to B. What else? So Universal got a deal with AMC. You know, if we rewind some weeks ago when when Trolls came out, everybody was like, yo, Trolls made $100 million video demand. Like, people was clicking on $20 clicking on $20 rentals. Like, I wouldn't click on that. But I was like, if you got kids, you stuck in a pandemic, and you was like, hey, you want to do a movie night? Cool, we spent that. So they kind of was like, oh yeah. And they caught some heat because they was just like, this might be the new way to go. Just like skip the theatrical release and just go straight to on demand. So AMC kind of felt kind of salty, and they was like, we'll never play another Universal picture.
Fast and Furious, you out of here.
You out of here. And then, you know, they got to the table and talked, and they came up like, all right, it was a misunderstanding. So they just reached a deal where they said now that after, it's a 17-day release. After it's in the theaters for 17 days, now it can go to video on demand. Before, it used to be 90 days, like a 90-day window. And you cut like more than half, you know. So
that's got to show you how bad AMC is.
Bro, yeah, them stocks, bro. Like, I'm going to have to start looking at AMC.
Yo, I did cop a couple of those stocks.
Because one or two things going to happen. If you let, when they say like too big to fail kind of situations, like they're going to bail you out. But then I'm like, it's only if they force it. Like, if they want to force it that theaters are important, they'll bail them out. And then they'll bounce back. Or it just might be bought by, you know, a studio, which I feel like antitrust laws. Because it's like, yo, you release the movies and you have a stake.
There's a whole thing. They can't even do that.
Yeah.
I was so like, it's a whole antitrust. Like, they can't even. None of the big studios can like own like, because they even had issues when it was like starting to look like that. I forgot which studio it was, and they had to step in. They're like, nah, it's getting too close. They're like, we just provided projectors. Nah,
yeah, it was a Sony, probably Sony and shit. Yeah, so they finally reached a deal on that. So we'll see. Have the movie? Do you think movie theaters coming back? I think we talked about it before. Like,
we talked about it before.
I mean, they already. Some of them are already open in City Walk. They open.
Oh, City Walk?
Yeah.
Yeah, they open.
They're open, and they're like on the East Coast. Because the East Coast is doing better with COVID, so they're fighting right now to open because they opening up churches, and basically the movie theaters are like, what's the difference between a church and a theater?
I told you the biggest difference is you don't have to step over somebody and be like, "Excuse me," to get to your seat.
Or do you?
But if you're
at a poppin' church, you've been to a poppin' church.
Well, no.
Where the usher can't seat you, and the usher's like, nah, B.
Have you been to church during COVID? Yo, it's like every other row. But I don't know. Some churches have it where it's every other row. You know, some people have it where it's like three people sitting on this long pew. Because that's 6 feet. You see what I'm saying? So if it's three people, and they're kind of like, if y'all came together, it's easier, you know, to sit. So, I mean, I get it. I almost think like if you can ride the train, if you can ride the bus, you risk it the same if you went to a movie theater.
Right. That's how I feel.
Right? Because the trains open in New York. Trains open, Travis? Ain't the trains open in New York City? I don't know if you take public transit. You ain't take the train, do you? You just be walking. Yeah, they open in New York, right? Yeah. So if they open, it's the same thing. Right?
That's how I feel.
Like, you on the bus, niggas was like rocking, like talking in the mask or whatever. Because they not saying like sit every other seat. They just kind of put an X, like blocking off the front.
They just like, good luck. Sit here. Whatever you do there, you good.
First of all, is there a proper way to social distance on a train, on the subway?
Nah.
Like if you was running late for work, and you saw the doors open, and you saw like everybody sitting down. Like, everybody sitting down. Would you jump on the train and you like, I'm I'm gonna wait for the next one. This one looks a little too packed.
Cause what level am I at my job? Like, am I at the like where I can't be late no more? Cause then I'm gonna be like, well,
let's put it in the mind of like essential. Like you gotta
get there.
Like you go into a plant, like a processing plant, or you the docks. You working at the docks or something.
Oh yeah,
like
I'm gonna have to go ahead and risk it, B.
You a nurse, you going to the hospital, you just take the train and the L train or that train. You need to get to one of these.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna have my mask up.
That's what I'm saying. It's not. I don't think it's like a practical way. Like in theory, it sounds great. And like I said, you see them doors about to close. Like I said, are you gonna be like, nah, I'm good. Like I can't get on this train. And then it's like, if you wait for the next one, and then like 50 people on the platform waiting for you to pile in, are you gonna be like, But movie theaters, I don't know. I feel like the same thing how you said like the airplane. Like if you're gonna get on a plane, you're going to get on a train. If you get on a train, you can get on a plane.
That's how I feel.
If you're saying it's safe to get on a train, which I don't even know if niggas is guaranteeing that.
I don't know if they're guaranteeing the safety, but they're trying it.
You want to take a short break here?
Yeah, let's take a short break.
All right, we're going to take a short break, and then we'll be right back. All right, and we back. I wanted to get in. You heard about Tyler Perry finishing the first production since COVID happened or whatever on Sisters.
MVP Tyler, man.
Well, like you can say what you want about him. Well, 22 episodes in 11 days.
That's insane.
Yeah. So like, shout out to them. They like everybody's about to follow his playbook. Like, I mean, it took a black man, to be like, yo, let's try to get my people back to work. Granted, he's about to make mad profit because 22 episodes in 11 days. But then they said the amount of money he had to spend on PPE.
Oh, yeah, I watched the video. So I was like, I could believe it.
PPE is about to be like the new normal. It's like tax. Like you're like, oh, you got to pay this tax. It's like, if you're going to shoot something, you're going to have at least like $500,000 on the tuck just to shoot something. So shout out to them for that. They about to go into their next production for Sisters or whatever. I feel like the only way you're going to, kind of like how the NBA was like in the bubble.
Right.
He shot kind of in the bubble in Atlanta on his production studio, like 330 acres, and he had enough rooms.
It was like camping, basically.
Yeah, because you could stay on it on the lot. They used to have whole housing, they had the food people, the crew. Everybody just stayed there. They had mad testing. Like you had to test before you got on the plane, when you landed out the plane, then when you got shuttled to your quarters, you got another test. And then it was like, once you was approved, then you can go to start shooting.
Right.
So shout out to them, being the first. Say everybody's about to be hitting them up.
Yeah, I was about to say his phone gonna be blowing up.
Yeah, what you do, son? Like what we gotta do to get on that same?
Yeah, give us that TP plan.
We losing money. We losing mad money to get on that. What else is happening? Y'all hear about Amazon being shady?
Amazon's so shady all the time,
bro. Like, granted, their work conditions, they. Like if you work at, like I heard the warehouse, I seen the piece on the warehouse thing. Like you had like a quota, like a crazy quota, like how much stuff orders you had to fill or whatever. And then like if you missed it, like say you had to go to the bathroom, like basically they were saying like you can go, but you gonna miss this, your quota, and we're gonna have to mark your performance. And
that sound like Amazon.
So it kind of put that kind of pressure. So now they're in trouble now. Like they had to go to Capitol Hill because they said that people, like they also have original products, like Amazon products or whatever. So what they do is they take pictures for people to, put their products on their site. And they said, people know Amazon has their own R&D development where they'll make their own products too. So they was like, oh, you make a mouse? We can make a mouse for the computer. You make trackpads. It's random stuff that they make.
Yeah.
And they said basically they was looking at people's ideas, listened to them, and they just basically started making the same one so they could be their competitor.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, damn.
It's like, oh, can you tell us more about those covers on your laptop? And how do you make them?
Right. That's a great idea. And then it was like, whisper like, make covers for that. And so they kind of got in heat. They was on Capitol Hill, trying to defend if they're not too big and all that. So,
yeah, I saw they had all the big dogs up there. Facebook,
Google, Twitter.
Apple. Yeah, all those. It's time to answer some questions.
I mean, they was like, I think when they bought like Instagram, like Facebook got in the heat because they was like, I mean, the question was, are you too big as a company? which is crazy because it's America. And it's like, oh, if capitalism had a cap on it, we wouldn't be in certain situations. But apparently, the cap is if they make so much more money, more power.
They want to promote competition, and their concern is if you eat up all the competition, we have no like. So Facebook was coming like, yo, every new app that had the potential to threaten, and they literally had quotes of like Mark Zuckerberg, basically like, yo, Instagram is a threat. Like
right.
using these words, he's like, we got to basically absorb them.
Yeah.
So, and it's like, well, yeah. Then the problem becomes if we have no competition, like it doesn't promote growth. The idea is like everything becomes stagnant. Like Facebook is just like you're a monopoly. It's the same with steel or the railroads back in the day. So it's you can be big as you want, but if you over here like purposely like killing the little guy,
like the mafia,
right? It's like, hey, I got a nice little app. Okay, what's that? And now part of Facebook now. Like that's literally what it was. And like Google, the same thing. Like Google was like basically using their own engine to basically dominate the search world. And they're like, yo, y'all can't do that.
They be like, if you search for Bing, like nothing shows up. You search for Yahoo, they be like, yo, the milk, like the drink, like not the search engine. Well, I mean, the shadiness. I mean, business always gonna happen. When you at that level to stay on top, you about to be doing some things. Like,
you never want to get unseated. You don't want to be like Skype or something and be like, yo, we just gonna dominate the market. And then now you sitting here looking like
how YouTube looks at Netflix now, probably Blockbuster, Toys R Us.
Exactly.
Yeah, adapt and survive. But yeah, you shouldn't be like picture. I remember like it was somebody who used to say they used to work at their fear of working at Disney was like that. No, they were saying that it was a fear that they were saying that it was a guy who worked at the theme park and they used to have this suggestion box.
Yeah.
Where they would say, hey, if you had an idea for a cartoon or whatever, anything to help for the company, they would pay you, give you like 15K or something crazy. Like you'd be like, oh, that's a great thing, But then he said he would present his idea and they were like, nah, it's not something we're looking into. Or they would say we have something already in the works that's similar or whatever. So we can't go with that idea. And then he was like, all right, cool. And he was like, a year later, his idea of me on the screen. And granted, Disney will be like, hey, like I said, if they say we have it in the works, there's no way for you to
know when they had it in the works.
Right.
You can't prove that.
Yeah, they say, we had it already, so sorry. And then vice versa, if you say, yeah, I had that idea and it looked exactly the same, then,
That's the problem. Yeah.
So then it became like, do you submit your ideas to your corporate without lawyers type situation? But, I mean, here we are. So, and last things wrap up, The Rock, he bought the XFL.
That's dope.
$15 million. I guess it was like, with this pandemic, I don't even know if they're going to play football. So I don't know if that's a good investment. But
it could be not like short term. It's probably a terrible investment. But like 2022, 23.
You're just owning the rights, I guess.
Yeah, owning the rights. It's like
buying the land.
Yeah.
It's like it's a good idea now because later on it could be.
Right. Yeah. Like today, it's like.
Have you watched the XFL?
I watched like half a game, like when they we were playing, and it was fun. Like I feel like they changed a couple of the rules. They like added some things and made it fun.
Yeah.
Where I feel like there was a place for it. I just feel like COVID happened, and then it was like, whoa.
You watch it, Travis? You ever watch a game?
I watched some of it. It was decent.
Yeah, entertaining.
It was pretty good for what it was. Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, shout out to The Rock. It was like I just need to add on investments or whatever.
Diversify that portfolio, man.
He's like, we ain't shooting nothing anyway, so we might as well. Twitter faces $250 million fines from the FTC for playing with y'all phone numbers and emails again.
That's just like, I feel like they just chalk that up as like, some companies
like
have like that.
They got
operating fee. Yeah, they got insurance on that. Like,
I mean, I remember they got Facebook got fined $5 million for the privacy things or something like that,
right.
$50 million, whatever. I remember what the number was. It was kind of like 5 cents on a dollar type situation, and that was just like because he made like billions that year.
Well, yeah, I feel like every year we hear something from either Facebook or Twitter about this shit, and I don't feel like I feel like it's impossible to prove.
Yeah,
and it's like, and then two, it's like so all you can do is fine them, and then like.
But let's imagine if you say like, if you and Travis have like a list of like say like you have a valuable list of clients or whatever.
Right.
Like you got their phone number, email. And somebody come to you and say, yo, we'll buy that list from you. And you say, nah, these are our clients. These are our,
Right.
And they're like, well, how much? Because everybody has a price. They say, yo, they're like, we'll give you $1 million. You be like, bro, it's like $1 million fine. He's like, say less. We'll give you $100 million. He was like, so we'll cover your fine and buy your list.
Here you go.
So if you got caught, and it was like, yeah, the Justice Department was like, yeah, we slapping you with $1 million fine, this, that, and the other. You like, I got like 99 million sitting in my account. You still get to operate. It's not like your business closed down.
Yeah, they're not gonna shut you down.
So,
that's where I'm like,
when I see these fines or whatever, it's like, are they deterrents or are they like,
it's like cost of business.
But I was like, 250 is different than like 2 mil. You know what I mean? So 250. That's still $250 million.
Yeah. I mean, they definitely on them more. I feel like that, like recently, they definitely been on them more with it because they've even like Twitter is basically like, we're gonna redo our privacy and this, and they got to start giving the statements and stuff like that.
Like lobbyists just cover it. They're just like, we'll cover the cost, whatever the fee is. You about to go to Capitol Hill. Don't worry, we'll cover the cost of the fines or whatever.
You sleep easy at night.
Sleep easy. Just keep feeding us that information. And then, and speaking of security threats, TikTok. Like TikTok was like a security threat because it was made by China, right?
Right.
You heard that, Travis?
Yeah, I heard about that.
Like how China owns TikTok. So like when you read the
they talking about getting rid of it.
They was like, because it's like they saying that in a fine print. It was like China can basically get all your information.
The fine print was something crazy. It was like something like they could get all your information, and like you basically get.
People think it's the information you inputting into your phone. Like you inputting it. Obviously, if you upload a video, they own.
Right.
But they was like, nah, they got your phone. So they got all your contacts, all your keystrokes, all your password logins, all that stuff is like access, backdoor open to China to take over there. Like the State Department, if you work for the government, they was like, you can't. And they was like, advise your family members, your household can't.
But that's interesting though, because I'm like, dang, I didn't even think about. But it's like, if you got a company that owns like a major social media platform, they could put whatever they want, the terms and conditions.
Yeah,
and most people don't read that.
They don't read that.
Yeah, clearly set when we sign.
Shout out to the lawyers who take the time to read that. Yeah, if you get a chance, look up the privacy concerns of TikTok. Just Google it. Everybody got the, got the Google. Use the Google and see how crazy that information. Because most of the time you give up something, you're like, yeah, I gotta give up my name, my email. But it's like, nah, I got you, the contacts, and their information, their phone. That's all. I was like, oh, dang. So Trump Trump is on it now. So he was talking about like, if they not owned by an American company, he gonna shut it down, U.S. I was just like, so you saying if you buy stock or they set up a dummy shell company or whatever, like how does that work? Like
I don't even know what that looks like.
Are you want to spend billions of dollars for a company just to say it's U.S. owned or whatever?
Yes. And it might be one of Trump's companies. But
just put it under his Trump University,
right,
and his Trump stakes.
It's an interesting time for social media. I feel like before it was going unchecked, and now it's like the microscope is on all of them. Facebook, Twitter.
Is it because it's election time, right?
I think it's election time, and I think it's just people starting to realize getting into dangerous territory with this shit. Like where it's like, no one ever thought, I feel like you could just say whatever on Twitter. No one ever thought about it until you have a president that can like literally just spit out lies. And then there's literally millions of people that follow him.
Fact check. I mean, that's like an evolution of something, right?
Yeah.
Like it's all good until it affects society.
Like I don't think anyone thought about it initially, but it's like when you think like, okay, we talk about the voting by mail because, everyone for COVID. And it's like you have someone literally putting out just shit like, oh, vote for that's a fraud. It's this and this. Then you start thinking like, damn, if somebody big enough, they got the following and they just can spew information unchecked. Yeah. Where it's like old media, you at least had to run it. You couldn't just make up some shit and put it in the paper. Like you had to at least be like, okay, did you check your sources? Did you do this?
Like journal, but that's what it was. It was like it's not like a journalistic.
There's no code,
right? So since it's not, you shouldn't take it as serious, right?
You would think,
but then it was like once you got the check mark, it was verified. Now it's like, oh, it's officially coming from them and the person in position. Now it matters or whatever. So yeah. I can see that. I mean, it's like the freedom of speech thing. When it was like, you can't yell fire. You can say everything, but if you yell fire, it's like a crime.
Right.
Because you like cause enough chaos or danger to other people's lives, you can't put out somebody's address.
Yeah, I just have noticed it this year in particular. Like YouTube, same way. It's like they're starting to go comb through their videos and like actually like you can't just have this video about insert topic like it's the 5G that's making coronavirus.
Oh yeah, the cure.
You can't. It's like they shutting that shit down now. It's like it's interesting times like with social media to see what happens.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like they said they was gonna start a new social media app where they can say whatever they want, like the right wing, crazy, whatever. They deal with that. But I mean, it is what it is. Like this was it says above pay grade. It's billionaires playing with money, fighting over who owns what. I mean,
I'm just here with my popcorn. I'm just that gif, sitting back, just waiting to see what happens.
All right, and last, the Emmys nominations came out last week. Shout out to The Watchmen, 26 coming in.
26.
The Regina King, Yolande, the whole cast, the show, and then Insecure, the comedy. First time, girl. Like about time they recognize the black excellence in that.
Yeah.
Shout out to all our friends who's working on all these epic shows.
That's dope, man. What a time.
What a time. So, other than that, I think we're good for this week.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. It's been another episode of the Three Fly Gents. Be sure to follow us on social media at Three Fly Gents on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If anything, y'all got anything popping? Anything y'all working on? You want to share, promote?
I'm finally calmed down. Yeah, I'm chilling now. Just ready to.
What should we be looking out for? Then you just do a doc. What is it called? Wild.
The doc I just did is called Eggs Over Easy. I just colored this doc. Should be. They're still finalizing the deals. So once I know where it's gonna premiere, I'll let y'all know. But it should be premiering in September. So keep an eye out for that.
What's the one with Shannon?
And then the thing with Shannon, we just did premiered last week called While We Breathe. It's like these vignettes, these little small stories back about just like black excellence and things like that, and just kind of dealing with like basically everything that's happened this year, like just the George Floyd, like all this, but just there's like comedy, there's dramas in it. But yeah, it's on YouTube, so check it out.
All right, we got the Broke Entrepreneur YouTube channel. Trav, you got anything new pop up? You got new posts, right? You got new videos up, right?
I put videos up like every 3 days, sometimes 4, depending on my traveling schedule. But yeah, man, just new videos, man. Just new videos of me traveling, different places, trying different foods and stuff like that.
All right, y'all be sure to check out the Broke Entrepreneur on YouTube, and be sure to check out our new merch line. Three Fly Gents official merch.
Some of the merch. Get you a pillow, coffee mug. You got the leggings for the ladies. Get you something.
All right, we out, guys.
Peace.
All right.